Hey everyone, welcome to Two Car Pros. My name is Ryan, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to replace an upper control arm for a 2014 Ram 1500. This is actually pretty simple, and I think this is something you could do in your driveway with a couple jack stands and the right tools. Just follow along and you'll be just fine. Before we get started, I would definitely put on some eye protection and wear some gloves and probably some hearing protection too, because you do need to break a ball joint apart, which is usually pretty loud and can cause debris to fly out and hit you in the eyes. So please put on some eye protection and some ear protection as well. With all out of the way, let's jump in. So here is our upper control arm in question that we are going to replace because this ball joint is no good. And this is an aftermarket unit. I'm not even sure they make these anymore. I have no idea what ball joint this is, so I'm just going to replace it with a stock unit. Before we do that, I want to show you what goes wrong with these. See how I can just grab this? You see all that movement? Yeah, it's not supposed to do that. So this ball joint's totally wasted. Not surprising, even a little bit. So what we're going to do is take a 21mm deep well socket and remove this nut. Well, not remove it, but get it like 60% of the way off. Now, a lot of times you'll turn the ratchet and this nut won't move because the ball joint itself is just spinning round and round and round. So what do? You grab a large prying implement like this. You're going to need it later anyway. Wedge it in there, sort of like that, in some way. Maybe more like that. You just want to put a ton of tension on this up while you're turning this nut, and that should get the whole and that should get the ball joint to just stop spinning and being worthless. So buying a very long prying implement, definitely a must for this job, and the link is down below in the description. So I'm gonna leave the nut about there, and then I can break this ball joint apart, and then we're almost done actually removing it. This is the hard part. So for this next bit, take a prying implement, nice big long prying bar, put a bunch of tension like this. I'm actually trying to go up with it so that way this bit goes down, because I'm trying to get these two apart, and they're a pressed tapered fit, so they're on pretty good. So you want to put a decent amount of tension on there, grab a really good sized hammer, put some eye protection on, and maybe some earplugs too, and you're gonna strike this surface right here. Now I've had it bust apart in one hit. I've had it take where two guys had to hold the pry bar and another guy had to hit this with a sledgehammer, but just keep at it, you'll get it. There we go, so it was like 5 hits or so, and it came apart. See now, my ball joint's just turning instead of loosening the nut. And I know this aftermarket one has a spot for a wrench, but I want to just show you what you would do if you didn't have that. See? Works like a charm. Remove the nut, and then we can just remove the upper ball joint out of the spindle, and you can just kind of let it hang out or flop down, doesn't matter which. So now we can remove the bolt holding in the upper control arm to the frame of the truck. The bolt head is an 18mm. I have that on a long prying implement, or a long breaker bar. Make sure that's squaring on there. And then the nut is a 21mm. So with the fastener loosened, we can remove the nut. It's interesting looking. And then the bolt. Sometimes these are stuck too, and it might take a little bit of wiggling, especially wiggling back and forth on the upper control arm, but mine came out pretty easy. And on the other side, I'm just using my 18mm ratcheting wrench. Yes, it was a lot more difficult than this earlier, because I realized on the sort of nut arrangement on the other side, it has like a piece of metal that prevents it from rotating over. So you actually don't need to back it up with a wrench. I just couldn't see it on the other one until I took it off. See, this kind of flops over and hits the frame, so it can't keep turning over. Makes it a little easier on you. And we can remove that bolt. And then we can go ahead and remove the upper control arm. Just kind of wiggle it out of there. There we go. Then we get our new unit out of the box. This is made by AC Delcone. Yes, I know, before you're saying anything. GM parts on a Dodge? Yes, they make good parts. Get over it. And they're like $150 instead of the Mopar ones, which are like $300, which is insane. The only thing I've done is lubricated the rubber surfaces, all 4 of these, so that way it doesn't squeak, makes the install a little bit easier as well. And then we can just line that in, and the link for this is, of course, in the description. We can line this up. Ideally, you'd use new fasteners, but I couldn't find them, so we're using what we got. And what I'm gonna do is just leave the nut and bolt sort of just hanging out right there, because I don't want to tighten everything down just yet. I'm gonna replace this bolt too on the front side. And don't forget to put the nut on before you put the bolt too far in. There we go, pretty good. Then take our upper control arm, grab our spindle, put the ball joint into there. Just don't be surprised if it doesn't want to kind of come together right away. You might have to adjust it just a little bit like that. And then we can put the nut on. So this is the new nut that came with our new ball joint. And it's 24 millimeters, so it's a little bit bigger than stock, which is okay. I'm just gonna tighten this down. Okay, we're just gonna leave it there for right this moment. So I'm just gonna bring this bolt down to touch now. I was wrong, you can actually reuse these, and the torque specification is 130 foot-pounds. There you go. So this 24 millimeter is actually a 2-step process, so it's torque to yield. If you get interrupted during this, or you have to take this back off for whatever reason, this fastener is technically not viable again. Would I put it on again with the camera off? Probably, but I'm just telling you the technical way to do this, and this is a torque to yield fastener. So what we need to do first is tighten it to 26 foot-pounds, which I probably have already done. Oh yeah. And then we do another additional 180 degrees. I have a special torque wrench for that. Typically you don't need to hold the ball joint when you're tightening it, but if you do, you know what to do. Put the pry bar in there, like I showed you earlier. There we go. So that ends up being 142.9 foot-pounds at the end of the sweep, according to this. So it kind of give you a ballpark figure if you don't have a degreeing torque wrench. I'm not telling you to do that, I'm just saying you could do that. So that's how to replace an upper control arm for a 2014 Ram 1500. This is one of the easier upper control arm jobs I've ever done. This is something you can totally do in your driveway. You can buy the control arm. The cheap ones are like $40, and the more expensive ones are anywhere from like $160 to $300. A mechanic is probably going to charge you at least $100, maybe even $200 to do the work. So you're saving hundreds of dollars doing the job yourself, and all the links for all the products I used here today are down below in the description. And at the end of the job, you still get to keep the tools instead of just paying for a mechanic. This is something you can totally do at home. Thank you so very much for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting at all, please consider clicking that join button down below and becoming a member. It's a direct way to help the channel out. Barring that, a like, comment, and subscription go a long way in helping this video out in the algorithm, and I so appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.